Good morning. I'm barely awake, but I'm going to make some coffee and I'm going to be answering all the questions that everyone sent in about my new song, Weddings and Funerals, and giving you all the gossip, all the tea. And I also just turned 30, which was very fun. This was a gift, very sweet gift from my husband, Tom Sparrow, outdoors, if you know his Instagram. And it's a ceramic coffee maker made by our friend. And look on the bottom, it says, "Happy 30th, Essy. Love, Tom." And that's just made my life. So we're going to make the coffee and let's go. I just love it. Let's go. And while I'm here, I'll introduce you to my son, Cubby Sparrow. This Cubby, he's named after Lindsay Lohan's teddy bear in The Parent Trap, obviously. Say hi. Look at him in the dappled light. Such a stunning gentleman. He is, I believe, the naughtiest dog in Cornwall. He's a heart of gold, a little bit reactive, a little bit traumatised. But who isn't? You know, in this day and age, who isn't? Let's get the questions up. Okay, so Weddings and Funerals came out on Friday. And I kind of struggle making these videos because I'm like, who actually cares? But 11,000 of you streamed it over the weekend, which is, just for context, that's 8 times more than my last single, 8 times more than I've ever had in my life of people listening. So that was amazing. And loads of you sent in your questions, so I'm going to try and answer as many as I can. So let's start with Erica Michelle. What was your favourite part about writing, producing it? I think for Weddings and Funerals, I loved writing it, but I also kind of felt sad afterwards because it was a truly spur of the moment, writing something to get a feeling out of my system and to get words down on paper feeling. And I found it really funny at the time, and I was like, this song is so funny, it's exactly how I feel at the time. And then I think I felt kind of sad straight after. I was like, oh, I'm so sad that this is how I feel about this situation. So in total honesty, that bit was really fun and kind of vibey, and then I had a bit of a calm down I think afterwards. But I think the fun really started when we were in the studio. It's my first day working with a new producer called CJ Pandit. You're never sure whether you're going to work well with someone, whether the vibes are right. Yeah, I think we started with this song and immediately it was just so fun. I felt like he understood the sarcastic element to it, which is something that I was really worried wouldn't come across. I was like, I'm really worried people will think I'm actually horrible and that this is how I feel about everything. Actually, I just really wanted it to feel like a bitter distilled pill that you could take, and it was instinctive moment after something happens that you feel like you want to laugh and you want to make fun of it, and then there's it's just before the come down, just before you're I'm going to be really sad about this, but I need to laugh about it for a sec. And I feel like he really understood that, and we just had so much fun making it. And I loved that it's ended up sounding like a funny wedding band, especially the bridge, which is Okay, question 2. Do you ever do any festivals? Any coming up? I do. I'm doing the Great Escape Festival in Brighton this weekend at the Unitarian Church with Queer Ass Folk, which is going to be really fun. And then I've got Sound Factory Festival in Plymouth early July. You can find all the details in my bio. And then there may be a few more that come in, but I've not prioritised doing festivals this year. I sort of wanted to get EP going, but also I think as an artist you always have to figure out where your energy is best well spent, and this year I really wanted to invest in my socials, make them really solid so that next year I can kind of do a bigger festival run. And I think you just can't do everything at once, so I decided to not necessarily apply to loads of festivals this year, but hopefully next year. At what point did you know for sure this was an absolute banger? Day one. No, I'm joking. I remember thinking, this is funny and therefore I like it. I remember that night I wrote it in an hour. I sent it to all my friends and I felt proud of it immediately, which doesn't always happen. There's been other songs on this EP that you sort of don't feel like people will get them until they're produced. But this song I was like, I think it's just solid. And then when we put it in the studio and we started adding guitars and making it sound fun, I just felt I remember being feeling electric and being this is so fun. And yeah, in the studio actually is where I typically have a lot of visions for the creative direction of the dance videos that I've done, which you may have seen. They look like this with my friends. I find myself as I'm making music in the studio, that's when my ideas for the visuals will come up, and I'll write them down and I'll think of what I'm going to do. And the idea of having bridesmaids and doing a dance with bridesmaids down a high street, almost as if we were walking to the church, was always a vision. That was really fun. I think, yeah, as I brought it to life in the studio, I thought this is really, really fun. I'm loving it. Okay, number 4. Held myself tight through it all. That's a lyric. Never been able to articulate it myself. Thank you. Oh, that's just really nice. Thanks. That's a line I'm pretty proud of because, yeah, in this situation that I wrote about, I really did feel in the silence between what happened and then someone making me aware they wanted me to be at their wedding, there were so many months of just being I just have to look after myself. I just have to care for me, and I have to grow a life that I love outside of what we had. And honestly, it was really hard at times, but I think you'll never feel prouder than when you just hold yourself and you're it's going to be okay. So thank you, I'm glad you like that line. Does the subject of the song know how famous they've become? I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I'm almost certain that the person that this song was initially inspired about has no idea that it's about them. And I think part of that is because it's very exaggerated. What I sing in the song, I would say that the emotion of somebody doing something around a wedding that ignores your past and feels very avoidant of pain they inflicted on you is true. However, the exact situation was slightly different. Maybe they'll watch this video and realise, but yeah, it wasn't in the exact way that I'm saying it in the song. And that is why I called this EP Gossip from a Coastal Town, because I really wanted to like drill into the emotions of the moments that I'm talking about, but not be wed to like specific story arc. And so yeah, I don't think I'll ever tell people what actually happened. It's just as bad. And so much of it is exaggerated that I think if they went through the song and like combed through the details, they'd be like, well, that doesn't apply to me. And I'd be like, well, yeah, never let the truth get in the way of a good song. So when is an album coming out? Love the new song. I wish I had a full album to give you. I just don't have the money. I fund everything myself. But I have an EP, which is 5 tracks. It's called Gossip from a Coastal Town, and it's going to be coming out in October. And up until then, you'll have a single pretty much every 6 to 8 weeks. So there's 3 singles, and then the final EP is 5 songs. And I've never been so proud of a piece of work as I am of this. And I think it's really fun. I think it's quite whimsical, and I feel very aligned with the energy that's in it. And so I'm really excited for people to see it. Love your swimsuit. Can you remember where it's from? This is from a video of me and my husband Tom swimming in a river. This swimsuit is from You Swim, and it's one of my favourites. How much of the production is MIDI instruments versus organic? I love the sound. So for weddings and funerals, the guitars are all real guitars. I think that the only thing I can recall being MIDI, which is like sounds through your software, don't know the right word, is the that we do the shoulder shimmies to in the videos. That is on a keyboard. Oh yeah, there's some cello in there that we did actually trial some real strings, but we just actually really liked the kind of inauthentic sounds of the MIDI. So there's like before they wheel me out. So, but yeah, the bass, drums, even the like sound, the kind of lap steel sound, that's just CJ with a pair of pliers and an electric guitar, creating that lap steel sound because we didn't have a lap steel. And then yeah, even the claps are us. How do you write songs? I'm so inspired by your work, but I don't know where to start. I think this calls for like a full video. It took me so long to learn to write songs. I tried and tried all the way through my 20s, and only really when I was 28 did I feel like it really came out well. And I wrote a lot of poetry in that time. I would often find myself writing like poems but not being able to write songs, even though I played instruments. But it all started coming out, and I think for me, I need always to have like a real specific feeling. I mean, like when you work in a creative industry or marketing industry, as I've done, you always say like a tight brief is a gift because it enables you to actually deliver specifically on the brief. And I think that's the same for me with songwriting. Like you need a specific emotion that you're writing about, a specific situation and a specific feeling that you want to get across, and then you can do it. But I, for a really long time, I think I was just giving myself too broad of a scope. So for example, this one, Weddings and Funerals, was so easy because it was just like, I want to write about the feeling of using humor as a coping mechanism when you're hurt, and I want it to sound like that. I want it to sound kind of cheeky and silly. I'd spent the whole evening that day telling my friends and being like, imagine if I went to that wedding. Can you literally imagine if I went there and I like did this and I did this? Like it would be ridiculous. Like it's such a ridiculous idea. And I wanted to like make it sound like that moment where something just happened and you're talking to your friends and you're in like shock and euphoria. I typically pick up a guitar and I try to find some chords that feel like that feeling. So like for this, I wanted it to feel kind of like bouncy. So I went for a few, like I put my capo up the guitar and I chose a few chords there. Then kind of just like started saying the things that I'd been saying that evening. Like imagine me 8 months time at a wedding that isn't mine, sitting with the 10 girls that blocked me. So yeah, I think that's the best place to start and just see how you go. Were all the vids filmed in the same day, or is the sun just never around in England? Well, it's really sunny today, but these videos were all filmed in one day. You're completely right. We recorded, I think, over 20 in just a morning. It was actually really cold. Tom, my husband, was behind the camera supporting Abby, the filmer's back so that she didn't fall over, and then in between takes was giving us coats to wear. We were absolutely freezing. But yeah, it was really chilly. The girls did such a good job. We were seen all over my small town. There was like people filming us from cafes and restaurants. Yeah, it was really grey. Is I Once Ached for a Wedding, but not this one, a hint of another song on the EP? I asked her what she meant because I wasn't 100% sure, and she was sort of saying like, does it refer to another song? Is there like a wedding? And I actually like, it's so funny. That line's kind of just a bit made up. Like as I was writing, it just came out. Like I once ate for a wedding, but not this one. And like I kind of wrote it at the time being like, I wonder if when I write this, people will think it was an ex-lover, which it wasn't. But it's just quite funny to add in like little clues that confuse people with an album that's all about gossip. But I also thought like, you know, when you're friends with someone and you've been thinking about their wedding in the future, you think like maybe I'll be a bridesmaid, maybe I'll be part of that wedding. And I kind of liked the idea of like referencing a future that you don't get to have when you end a relationship or friendship with someone. How like, yeah, all those little imagined things that you thought might occur then don't happen. So like, yeah, that was kind of the vibe. How do you mood board your creative direction? I would love to tell you about this. One of my favorite things ever to do. And I've got my laptop actually, so I can just show you. So when I went to record the EP, I already had an idea for the vision, something similar to this, which says Essy, Sparrow, gossip from a coastal town. I think we were initially going to call it Tell Me a Story / Give Me the Gossip, which was a kind of an exploration project between storytelling and gossip and what those two things do. And then as I wrote it, I realized that so much of what I was loving at the minute was like living by the coast and having like the nautical world building of the project. And I put together like a little board of imagery here, which you can see. And I typically have a bunch of Pinterest boards. And it's basically just like the energy of the project. And for weddings and funerals, I always really wanted red everything. It's really inspired by Taylor Swift's I Bet You Think About Me music video and how that like just feels perfectly sarcastic and fun. And I think then also like using the things that people loved that you've done that you also loved as a guiding light too. Like when I played Boardmasters last year, there was this image taken of me and my dancers, and that's just like, that made me feel like that is so me. And so that was also a bit of a guiding light for this project as well. But I can talk through more of the creative direction in a full video. I think that'd be really fun. You described the pain of losing childhood friends as adults very well. Thank you. Any thoughts? Any advice? It's so hard. I just turned 30 and I think it's so okay that you grow apart from people, and sometimes that's really essential. And I just think like never close yourself off to new relationships. I think what I've learned recently is you never know what can happen for you. If you want to meet new people or you want new connections that align with you in a different way than you did when you were younger, that can happen. So I think like just keep yourself open. Trust that it's all for a good reason. I think there's been times in my life where I've been so upset that a friend or someone who I love can't be there for me in the way that I need them to be. And actually like sometimes you can fight against that and it can feel really hard. But I think actually sometimes like let them not meet your needs, and then like meet your own needs, of course, and then be curious about what other friends could bring to your life. I definitely have had multiple situations where I've been like, I'm so upset that person's like so busy, or like I never see them. And then like a year later, I'll be like, I'm actually really glad they were busy because they got to do their thing. And then I was able to meet new people that brought to my life a great thing for that time. And it does always work out for you, I think, if you keep hoping and keep being positive. If you need an EP about it, I got one of those. Did you go over budget on this project? I'm always curious about the financial side of art. Okay, so yes and no. I invested a lot in the project. You have to pay for producers, you have to pay to put it on Spotify, you make 0.03 pence per stream. So if I was just prioritizing streaming only, 100% I would have gone over budget. However, what I have done this year is prioritize good merch and having good stock of that merch and playing live and doing that in a financially viable way. Although like you make an EP, you put it on streaming, it doesn't cover itself. It has covered itself for me. I'm currently breaking even by doing other things. So yeah, for example, my tour this year sold out. I planned it all myself, booked it all myself. There's no one taking percentages from me, like a label or anyone like that. So I'm covering myself, which is a real relief. And one thing I'm really grateful for is that stocked in merch when I did, which was like earlier last year, because now as the music's picking up and more people are discovering me, I get a lot of merch orders. Like yesterday I had 5 in one day, which is crazy for me anyway. And I'm sending stuff to like Australia and Pennsylvania. I'm glad that I had that stock in because I could have had a little bit of a social media moment. I'd been like, I need to order some t-shirts. And then by the time I order the t-shirt, like it's not really happening anymore, or it's gone a bit more quiet. So I'm glad I had stock in, and I'm glad I'm doing a tour. And I've also had a few other music projects come in. I've been asked to like cover a song for a compilation record and I got paid for that. There's money that comes in that then funds the music. It's just not necessarily a case of like make project, get money back. You kind of got to be smart, and it's a small business, so that's all you got to do. Some of the bigger investments I took on this project was paying photographers and videographers for the videos. I don't regret that for a minute, because having like a solid video concept and videos that really bring the project to life has meant that my streaming figures have gone up and I'm making more money from it. So like, yeah, there's little investments everywhere that make a big difference. Story time about the sprinting on the train platform. I love that bit of the video you shared. So this is actually a teaser I shared for my next single, which is called Vinyl Spinning. Songwriting, and I'll be sharing more of it soon. But basically that is for a new song, and I can't wait to share it with you. It's very like yearning. Me and my friend Tyler filmed it, who comes up with the concept for the dances. So this is really fun. So I have a friend, Francesca McLaughlin. Basically, Fran is a professional dancer. She's trained. She's one of my best friends. And I typically will have a few ideas for dances. So for this, I had the idea of the shoulder shimmy. I was like, I love the idea of doing this. And I love the idea of doing this in the chorus. And so I will bring that to the table, and then Fran will like piece it together in a way that actually makes sense and is doable. And sometimes she'll be like, it's actually easier if you turn this way because your body will already be here. And then me, Millie and Fran will know all the dances and video them and rehearse them. We've even rehearsed them on the bandstand in my local park before Boardmasters. It's really fun. Then lastly, do you have any tips for young artists and making social content in the way that you do with your videos? So my tip is something that the videographer said at the time was that we got so much out of the day because I'd planned in advance. And she was like, sometimes you meet up with artists and they haven't got a plan and you just don't get as much. And that's definitely something I learned from working in fashion marketing, is like have a shot list, have a brief, and have an understanding of what you want to capture and plan it. And I'll show you what I gave to Abby. On it, there's a mood board for the energy. There's a video deliverables list, which is like definite things we want to get. We want at least one take of the chorus and the opening song. We want loads of funny footage for the bridge. We want statics of me lip syncing in 4 different ways. I sent her videos of the dances. I sent her some references, so like videos that I'd seen that I thought were really, really fun. And then I sent her a list of like Pinterest board images of girls that I felt this video was for. And it meant that like as soon as we got there in the morning, we had a list of deliverables. We were able to get more, but it meant that I was always going to leave with like at least 5 videos of the first verse, 5 videos of the chorus. Yeah, we smashed it. And I think that's my one tip for getting social content, is like think in advance, find your references, mood board, and make it feel like you. Thank you so much for watching. This is a fun little series to do, and if you have any more questions, tuck them in the comments and I'll reply. But yeah, comment, subscribe, follow along. I'm going to be sharing lots more behind the scenes as the project finishes up, and I can't wait to share.